Hey internet, hey YouTube, how's it going? Um, I was planning on going live tonight to do a little blabbing, talking about my comics and doing some work on them. Then I found out this morning that Stan Lee died. I'm still gonna come on a little bit later and do some regular work, but I wanted to spend some time reflecting on my path into comics and this whole thing. I know I'm not the only person out there in the world who's going through stuff, and but I just want to get this out. Talking over with my boys, my sons today about it, and with my partner Barry, my coworker Barry, and I just felt like going on and talking about some stuff. It's been a tough year for me in comic fandom. My start. So I was a kid. I was an outcast. I grew up with whatever hang-ups that kids grow up in Middle America with not having anyone to relate to, and I found comics. I'm not going to go into the whole story here, but the first person to really hook me into comic books was a not a writer. It was artist Norm Breyfogle. In the thumbnail, I have a picture of this one here. This comic, this was my first big two monthly comic purchase. And in it, spoiler alert on a 30-year-old comic, Commissioner Gordon has a heart attack. Alan Grant did the writing, Norm Breyfogle did the pencils, and this story hooked me. This is why I love comics right here. Breyfogle's dark, bold lines, Alan Grant's touching, sincere writing. Breyfogle died earlier this year. I don't know. I think it was complications from a stroke he had a number of years ago, and it was hard for me. It made September a hard month. But that's not why I got into writing comics. I got into writing comics. The second monthly big two book I got was issue of the Robin miniseries written by Chuck Dixon. Being in the Batverse led me to Denny O'Neil, and Chuck and Denny had this solidness to their writing. Both of them had this amazing grasp of storytelling and then throwing it into their world. And I became a fan through these writers and being able to see how they did what they did. I stretched into out from from the Bat family and out from DC and into Marvel, and into the back issue bins and into the quarter bins. That's where I found Stan, not first as a writer, but as somebody who's communicated with the fans. And that was something that seeing the way Stan wrote to the fans and about the fans in the bullpen bulletins and in the letter columns of those old back issues, seeing as he dealt with the PR leading up to the ridiculous Captain America movie and the Punisher movie that was coming out just as I was getting into comics, seeing how the sincerity of the world building that had gone into the Marvel universe and had translated into the DC books that I had loved. It was through Dixon and O'Neil and then through Stan Lee that I decided I could write comics, that I could love something like that I thought I could share it with people. Stan in the letter columns and in the side notes and in the guest appearances and in the lead into the TV shows and all that stuff, he treated the fans like humans. He invited them into his world. It wasn't him from on high proclaiming some great vision. It wasn't some pretentious messiah of the comic book kind. He was a storyteller, and he wanted you to dwell there. That's what the world outside your window that Marvel was supposed to be. was about this equality between the reader and the creators. And while I was always and will always be a DC guy first and foremost, that way of dealing with the fans, that way of spreading that love, it transcended the Marvel universe. Dixon wrote for Marvel. O'Neill wrote for Marvel. Neil Adams drew for Marvel. Roy Thomas was the editor-in-chief of Marvel before he did the All-Star Squadron for DC. The All-Star Squadron that I know and love, that shaped so much of the way we did the golden age of our universe. There wouldn't have been an All-Star Squadron. There wouldn't have been Dixon's Punisher run. There wouldn't have been Green Lantern, Green Arrow, if not for Stan Lee. And I would never have thought that I could create a world and invite people into it if not for Stan. I didn't know him, right? We weren't friends. I never even communicated with him. I mean, Norm Breyfogle and I communicated a little bit on Facebook before he decided my politics was anathema, and that's okay. I'm going to close on one story I'm going to share. So this comic is also in the thing, and I didn't remember I had this. I had the pleasure this year of meeting Bob Hall. He's a Nebraskan like me. He came down Scottsbluff for our mini-con, and he told a story of being asked to do the breakdowns for the adaptation of the Captain America script. This is his story, not mine. So Bob told me that they got the call from the studio to do a comic book adaptation of the film adaptation of Captain America that was done in 1992. Stan got a copy of the movie script and he just said, I can't do this. This is terrible. It was a terrible movie. So Stan couldn't touch the property. And so, yeah, he gets a hold of Bob Hall and he says, Bob, you got to help out with this. So Bob does breakdowns. He takes the story, he lays it out, and adapts the plot of the story. And then Stan went in and did dialogue after that. They came up with a product that was much better than the movie it adapted. But I will do a full review on this on my other channel, Comics RX, at some point. But anyway, that's the closest I have to a Stan Lee story. Is actually a story I'm stealing from Bob. And I guess those are the things I wanted to say. And I'm going to get myself together here in a little while. I'm going to go ahead and get back, get some art done, and invite you guys to hear me yak about that. But for now, I just wanted to say out there, the internet, that I want you guys to keep reading, keep loving comics, and Excelsior in the memory of Stan Lee. So have a great night, guys.